A legend bullied for being Black Michael Jackson's painful transformation story. He moonwalked across the stage, glittering glove raised, feet moving like liquid magic. But the crowd wasn't clapping. They were laughing, pointing, shouting, "Get off the stage. We don't want to see your black, ugly face." It wasn't the sound of celebration. It was the sound of cruelty, echoing across an arena filled with thousands. In that moment, Michael Jackson, the man who had become the king of pop, felt smaller than ever. He wasn't being judged for his music, he was being judged for his melanin. The world remembers his transformation, his surgeries, his lightened skin, but few ever understood why. This is the untold, heartbreaking story of how racism, ridicule, and rejection drove Michael Jackson to change his entire face, and why. Behind the fame lived a man forever running from the mirror. Before we dive in, please support us by subscribe, like, and share for more with activating the notification bell. Thank you. Before he became a global phenomenon, Michael Jackson was just a shy, wide-eyed boy with a gift buried deep in his soul. He wasn't born into fame, he earned it. With his brothers, he burst onto the scene as part of the Jackson 5. Their music was electric, his voice was unmistakable. But even as his talent captivated audiences, something darker lurked beneath the lights. In backstage rooms and industry corridors, whispers grew louder. The kids, amazing executives, said, but his nose, his skin, it might hold him back. At just 14, Michael heard grown men say he'd be the next Elvis. If he wasn't so black, he didn't understand then, but the seeds were planted. Seeds of doubt, seeds of shame. By the time he was in his early 20s, Michael had begun to notice the difference. While other pop stars were praised for their looks, he was always described as exotic, different, intense-looking. There was always a subtle hint of too black in their tone. Then came the night that would haunt him forever. It was 1981. Michael was scheduled to perform at a large concert hall in Texas. Excited, nervous, and proud, he walked on stage. Expecting cheers, instead, the crowd erupted into cruel laughter. Some pointed at his face, others held up signs. One read, "Go back to Motown, we don't want your kind here." Another had only 3 words, "Black, ugly, stop." He tried to sing, but the words caught in his throat. His heart was breaking, and he couldn't even cry because the cameras were rolling. After the show, he sat alone backstage. No one came to comfort him. No one said anything. He stared at the mirror for hours. It was the first time he thought, maybe they're right. Maybe something needs to change. As the world celebrated Thriller, Michael became a superstar. But fame only made the cruelty more creative. Tabloids zoomed in on his face. Is that nose real? Why does he wear makeup now? One article cruelly labeled him the black star who wants to be white. He began using lighter foundation, not to be someone else, but to hide what others had made him ashamed of. His skin had started changing, blotching in places, a condition later confirmed as vitiligo. But instead of compassion, the world responded. With judgment, even backstage, even among fans, the comments pierced deep. One night after a show in France, a little girl ran up to him, excited, thrilled, and then confused. "Why are you darker than on TV?" she asked innocently. "Thought you were white?" Michael smiled softly, but inside he shattered. He knew children spoke the truth, and if she saw him that way, so did the rest of the world. Behind closed doors, he visited dermatologists. He tried creams, cover-ups, lasers, but the skin disease spread along with it the voices in his head. "You're too dark, too wide-nosed, too ugly." At an awards show, he overheard a Hollywood insider joke. If only we could bleach him out of the camera. Michael laughed awkwardly, but later that night, he stared at the ceiling and whispered, "God, why did you make me like this?"
Atch! When?
Michael made the decision to undergo his first nose surgery. He told the world it was due to a breathing issue. But in truth, it was deeper than cartilage. It was about control. If he could just fix one part, maybe the pain would lessen, but It did. Each surgery brought more attention, more judgment. As his skin grew paler due to vitiligo treatments, the media doubled down. Michael's turning into a ghost. MJ wants to erase his past. I didn't know that every morning he battled the urge to not look in the mirror. Not because of vanity, but because of shame. He bought Neverland Ranch not just as a home, but a fortress. A place where he could hide. From the paparazzi. From the critics. From himself. He became a recluse. Friends said he would tape black curtains over every mirror in his house. He once told his driver, "I feel like a monster trapped in someone else's face." Despite all this, he tried to push through. He released Black or White as a protest anthem.
When work a rock all why with did I why wellig I give a gray I will like and with silver where we angry go or where I agree.
But once again, it was twisted. They mocked his pale face while ignoring the words, "It don't matter if you're black or white." By the late 1990s, Michael was no longer recognized for his genius, but for his changing face. Shows like South Park and The Simpsons portrayed him as freakish. Talk shows made jokes about his skin, nose, and eyes. He was no longer Michael the legend, but Michael the punchline. At a concert in Germany, things took a terrifying turn. As he walked on stage, someone hurled a doll at him. It was painted in blackface. The message was clear, devastating. He performed anyway, tears in his eyes, his voice cracking as he saying, "You are not alone." His staff said he cried backstage for hours, not because of the insult, but because he realized no matter how much he changed, he could never escape the hate. He released History, an album filled with fire and frustration. Songs like They Don't Care About Us were warnings, cries for help, but they were dismissed as rand. Michael once confided in a friend, "I didn't change because I hated myself. I changed because the world hated me first." On June 25th, 2009, Michael Jackson died. The world wept. Vigils lit across the globe. Tributes poured in. The same media that mocked him for decades now called him the greatest to ever live. But for many, it was too late. Old concert clips resurfaced. Fans began noticing signs they had ignored. "Get off the stage, monkey, bleach boy." Recordings long buried suddenly came to light. Former staff members, backup dancers, and bodyguards shared the truth. He was bullied daily. He wasn't crazy, he was broken. His dermatologist confirmed the skin condition. But no apology came from the magazines, who once ran headlines like "MJ turns albino." In his will, Michael left more than money. He left a journal. In one passage, he wrote, "They told me I wasn't beautiful, that black was not beautiful. So I tried to become what they wanted. But I lost myself in the process." Today, millions rewatch his interviews and cry, because now, with perspective, they see the pain in his eyes. The smile that masked 1,000 wounds. Michael Jackson didn't hate his skin. He hated how the world made him feel for being born in it. And in the end, the man who gave us Man in the Mirror was the one most haunted by his reflection. They laughed at his skin, so he wore a mask. But behind the glitter and glory was a man the world never truly understood until it was too late.